Hey guys, 99GS Spider here. Got a review for you. This is the Crkt Picatinny tool. This is Crkt and Crimson Trace Company's little collaboration for doing a little range bag tool. It has some pretty useful stuff on it. Some stuff that, not really that useful and not all that well thought of. But overall, a pretty good little tool. Would not want to carry this on you all the time. It's pretty bulky. Not too bad on weight. The weight, as Crkt says it, is 4.7 ounces. So I mean, for the size, it is a pretty hefty little tool. But like I said, for throwing in the range bag, you're never going to notice it. This first two tools we have are the two actual Allen wrenches, one here on this little spot here, and the other one here. The first one on the left here is the 50 thousandths, which is pretty much the industry standard for adjusting on your laser sights. Crimson Trace sends you one when you buy one of their grips or one of their laser modules, but this one keeps it in one package there. The 28 thousandths one, which is this one here, have not found a use for. I'm sure somebody out there knows what it would be good for. Of course, the Crkt wouldn't have put it on there if it wasn't used for something. But I've yet to be able to use it. Never had an issue with these things falling out. I have put this tool to some use. This isn't an out-of-the-box testing. I've had this tool for probably going on a year now. And it stays in my range bag, and pretty much every time I go to the range, it gets used. The one thing that is an issue is once you get these wrenches out, getting them back in is another story. You have to have either some good fingernails or use another tool to get them back in securely. Anyway, they can kind of clip in there into the plastic handles. We'll go next over to the bits themselves. These are your bits right here. This is one of the spots where they could have used an improvement. Each bit has a detent ball on it that's supposed to, and I do say supposed to, lock into the handle itself and keep the bits from falling out. As you can see, this one here doesn't really stay in all that well. I mean, once it gets to that point, it doesn't want to fall out anymore, but I have had them fall out. This is actually my second attempt at making this video, and they have fallen out on that last video. And but just your bits as you have, the one shown here are a 3 30-seconds hex key. That's this first one here. The middle one, of course, is your Phillips driver, and then you have a T20 Torx bit. Not too sure what the large Torx bit's for. I'd like to have seen them put a smaller Torx on it, potentially for use with a field knife or anything like that. Adjusting a pivot on a knife, anything like that would work really well with that. The next thing is your bit driver, which is here, and it's got the flathead bit in it. And if I'm going to take this thing off camera real quick, because it takes a little finesse to get this thing out. Okay, here we go. This is your bit driver here. I'm going to try to show you another place that could use a little bit of improvement, if this camera will focus. But you can see the play in the bit itself. Now, I haven't had any real issues with it twisting all the way in there, stripping or whatever. But, I mean, that's just, not really all that well thought out to have that much play in it. But the bit the bit driver has a really good magnet in it. I'm sure you can hear that clicking into place. So the bit will not fall out. I've never had any issues with the bit driver itself, other than, like I said, the little bit of play that's in the driver. But once again, it hasn't caused any real major issues. So there's that. We'll close that up. We'll get to one of the other. Oh, back with this thing. Like I was showing you before, it is pretty difficult to get out of there. That's why I keep the flathead bit in there. It gives me something to get my fingernail on. But with the Phillips bit or any of the other 2 bits in there, it's just not feasible. I mean, you can try to grab a hold of the actual driver itself and pull it out like that, but once again, you kind of need some fingernails to do that. Next little tool it has here is the pin punch. It's not a bad tool. It is flat. It's 2-dimensional, if you want to say so. They don't actually tell you the size of the punch itself, but I have found it to be the right size for doing most of the Glock pins. I think the one in the grip itself, the trigger housing pin or something like that, I think it's a little large for that hole. You can still kind of cram it through there, but maybe that's just my gun. I don't know. But that's it, and it's fairly sturdy. Doesn't move too much side to side or anything like that. I have had it close up on me before, and it hurts. But next thing we have here, it's got a little nail nick opening here for the scraper. And this does work very well for scraping carbon crap off of anything. I've actually used it on one of my old revolvers I had that I recently traded out. Used it to scrape some of the carbon off of there and some of the lead buildup and everything, and it worked very well. The only thing that I don't like about it is I don't understand why they cut it at an angle like that. Maybe to get into some tight places or something, but this really fine tip will dig into your gun. So if you have any type of finish on whatever you're trying to scrape, it will dig into it and it will remove it. That corner right there will. Next we have is the 8mm wrench. Once again, not quite sure what its main purpose is. Of course, I mean, it's a wrench, but I'm not sure where it fits into the gun world at. But you would have to, if you're loosening, you'd have to hold it one way. If you were going to tighten, you'd have to hold it the other way, otherwise it would close up on you. Alright, now for the blade. First thing you'll notice about the blade is it has a very, very large, oversized thumb stud, which I love. Makes it very easy to get the blade open. Makes it very easy to reach that thumb stud, as you can see. See if I can get it on here. It does stick up past the handle scale, so you're not having to dig in and try to find it. The blade itself came out of the box razor sharp. With the light cutting tasks that I've had it do, you paracord, cut a couple targets. I've actually, notched some trees to get something to wrap around them properly to hold it in there. It's held up very well. I mean, it's still very, it's not razor sharp anymore, but it's still a very workable edge. Serrations are aggressive. I have found them to, from time to time, snag up on material. But just cutting paracord, you just stick it on there and just rip it off. I mean, it's going to cut through it. The blade itself is 2 3/4 inches long. It is 8CR14 MOV. And it's a hollow ground drop point blade. You see the grind there. It has a black oxide coating, which I haven't had any issues with anything coming off of it. Still looks like it's relatively brand new. There is a little bit of scratching on it, but you're not going to be able to see that through this camera. Now for just the actual specs of the knife itself, it is a liner lock. Let's see if I can get you in on that liner. most. But the liner lock itself locks up relatively early. It's got a lot of room in it. Very positive. No play. As far as I know, no play up and down, side to side, nothing. Very, very sturdy. The blade itself, now for just the spec portion of it. Overall length is 6.75. Closed length is 4 inches. And I think I said earlier it weighs 4.7 ounces. So kind of a heavy little tool, but all in all, not too bad. A decent little offering from Crimson Trace. The list on these things, I think I paid somewhere in the $40 to $50 range for it. I'm sure they can be found for cheaper somewhere, and I'm sure the price on them is going to drop and everything else. But like I said, all in all, not a bad offering. Alright, thanks you guys. We'll see you next time.